Hey astronauts, it's me, Brandy, and welcome back to Astro Tarot Research or Astrology Research, depending on what channel you are watching this on. Today we are finally doing the long-awaited Moon Ruled Men video. Now I don't know if I'll do any other like planetary people ruled videos set up quite like this way, or if I'll even do them at all, because I just found my interest kind of like waning as I was doing this, and I feel like that's more like a Claire Nocti thing. I have other like areas of interest that I would like to get to and pour my passion into, but I was really interested in doing this particular placement just because I just had a curiosity about moon ruled men because I know so many of them. But before we get started, I do want to ask you to like, comment, and subscribe, and don't forget to follow me on Instagram for like tarot insights, astrology insights, and I'm going to be posting all the studies that are in this video on that Instagram so you can easily like view it. You can also follow me on TikTok for just everyday regular content and what I'm doing in my daily life. As usual, I have my notes. This time I got on my phone, I was like, I can't print this out. Impossible. I would be killing so many trees if I did that. So I gotta go to my phone, my handy dandy phone. Let us go. Moon ruled men are known for being friendly, warm, charismatic, and down to earth.
It would bother me if people felt that I was unapproachable.
They are described as high-performing, complimentary.
First off, I gotta say, I saw some of you guys dancing there, and you guys were absolutely killing it.
Intelligent and well-spoken. Moon ruled men are portrayed in the media as self-made men, nepotism babies.
My grandfather and dad have all been bookies, and I was a bookie for 10 years, so it's definitely where my heart is.
Mobsters, hitmen, bounty hunters, genies, scammers, thieves, gamblers, addicts, scientists, inventors, investigators, and handymen. From my observations, moon ruled men's popular temperaments are phlegmatic and sanguine, though they can obviously have other temperaments. The sanguine side means they are outgoing, people-oriented, and charismatic.
And when I met him, he's just so warm and so genuine, and that's what I think I clicked so much with him.
And the phlegmatic side being calm and controlled.
When everyone is telling you you need to go, you need to think. Before I do something, I analyze the situation. I've always done it calmly, without any chaos.
Both incite strong reactions and emotions out of other people because of their deep understanding of communication. Though moon-ruled men can be very measured in their communication,
will bring relentless pressure on Germany from the south.
This does not mean that they hold their tongue.
This is just unacceptable.
No, I don't accept that.
One of the more notable characteristics of moon-ruled men is they are candid and opinionated.
Referring to Dr. Martin Luther King as a black hero, it lessens his stature. He's an American hero.
Oftentimes critics of people, politics, and culture. Second, as I explored in my Jupiter transit Shravana video, there's a type of moon ruled men which is anxious, serious, and rigid. They can be overwhelmed with negative thoughts and become ridden with anxiety.
That is it. I'm a child who managed to be the only kid at school to not do drama. I hated it.
Wow.
I wanted to be a pilot.
Wow.
I was so scared. My brother used to speak for me all the time.
All right, calm down. Hey, calm down. I'm sure you're making this sound worse than it actually was.
Based on my observations so far, this applies more to Shravana because of the influence of Saturn, which connects to fear and feelings of insecurity. On the other hand, you have moon-ruled men who are the extreme opposite of this persona. They become daredevils and are known for being huge risk takers.
Daredevil Nick Wallenda traversing an 1,800-foot wire
Ooh, that was fun.
across the crater of Nicaragua's Masaya volcano.
Like most nakshatras, there's always a diametrical opposition within the same energy. The most brave are the most fearful. The strongest are the weakest. And the most empathetic.
I'm going to tell a personal story, which is when you were shooting your Muppet movie, You did the sweetest thing. I think I ran into you somewhere on the Warner Brothers lot, and no one had ever done this for me before. You said, hey, if you have any young kids, which I did, come on by and watch me shoot a scene. And my kids were electrified, and you couldn't have been nicer about it.
Oh, cool.
So you're a genuinely nice person.
Are the most apathetic.
I can't see them coming down my eyes, so I gotta make the song cry.
But I digress. The sanguine moon-ruled men are known for being level-headed, even in emergency situations. Nothing bothers them, they are unfazed.
When you're touring, say, the Deep South in South Carolina, you accidentally end up in a whites-only urinal.
I was on a bus with the troupe, with the theatrical troupe. We were touring, and we stopped in a place that was a toilet facility, and I did not pay attention to the sign coming from New York. I got off the bus and walked into the white urinal, and as I was about to relieve myself, I heard a voice saying, if you let go a drop, you are dead. And the humility, the humiliation of it, the degradation of it. My urine had better sense than I did, because it just backed up, and I struggled with the moment and left without letting go a drop in the urinal.
This applies to moon-ruled women as well. Both genders often take on the role of the strong silent type, unwilling or unable to express their vulnerabilities.
Which one of these say, I struggle to emotionally connect with people, I thought baby steps would be getting a dog, but I need something without a heartbeat?
You okay? You seem a little upset.
Man, my dad died last week.
Ow.
But it's all right, you know. You trying to get some wings?
This demeanor could be their true nature, where they are honestly unbothered. But many moon-ruled men hide their true feelings. There's a great deal of masking in social interactions.
What do you think when you see Wayne Brady? And they may think of just the network shows that they've seen. They're like, oh, well, Wayne's always smiling. Wayne's always this, da-da-da. That is part of that package, and that's part of that world, and that masks a lot of what I suppressed for years and years in terms of trauma, in terms of not wanting to deal with things. And so the dude off camera was so super dark.
I believe the most common reason for this behavior from moon-ruled men is to be liked or to be accepted by someone or a group, or in turbulent times, in order to give an image of remaining strong, as this comforts others who may depend on them. It may also be an emotional surviving tactic to pacify themselves. This can be different from other nakshatras. For example, Ketu-ruled men will often live in their truth, and as a result, they are not always considerate of other people's feelings. Because of this, they frequently face isolation and villainization. This is why you will often see Ketu-ruled men and women play villains.
I asked you to rate me.
I was like, you're a 9 out of 10.
Uh-huh.
And then you were like, is there anyone here who you think is a 10 out of 10? I was just like,
Yeah, Colleen.
I was like, maybe one person.
No, you said 2 people.
Stop.
Raven and Colleen, which, come on, duh. But still, though, super shitty to hear.
And I gave you a 9 out of 10. Do you realize I give 80% of the women in the world less than a 7?
Yeah, it's actually not my job to give you pervy intel on my best friends, but thanks.
Well, I mean, it kind of is, though. People ask you questions about them, right? Because that's your job as their duff.
Sorry, as their what?
Duff. D-U-F-F. Designated ugly fat friend.
Because of these actions, when in the position of authority or power, moon-ruled men will generally gain a positive reputation for how they handle crises. Diving deeper into the sanguine nature, this is a key trait when understanding moon-ruled men. These men are generally well-versed socially because of their attunement to the world around them. This is what makes them great occultists, scientists, detectives, and so forth. Their intuition and observational skills are beyond exceptional.
Afghanistan or Iraq?
Sorry?
Which was it, Afghanistan or Iraq?
Afghanistan. Sorry, how did you...
Molly, coffee.
While moon-ruled men enjoy being in the company of others, they can struggle with groupthink and ideology.
Never question my authority in front of others.
I is sorry, man.
Massa, you be the boss man now, and all us chillins must learn
Major
to...
force! Depending on what point the moon-ruled man is in his life, internally or externally, they may question social practices, ideology, or behaviors. In the beginning, moon-ruled men may hesitate to voice their concerns or opinions, as this would make them a social pariah.
Who's with me? Let's go! Come on!
For example, questioning why men aren't supposed to wear pink. Because of these unwritten restrictions, this leads to the mindset of seeing socializing with others as more of a necessity than a desire. One issue to highlight is moon-ruled men's internal conflict of trying to achieve the fixed societal version of masculinity.
I don't know what you heard, but this show ain't free.
I mentioned this theme of pro or anti-gender norms in my Jupiter transit Shravana video.
The nail art thing probably started in my late 20s. They always disassociate this, with being macho and shit. And I think seeing men push boundaries, especially straight men, I'm all for it.
Some moon-ruled men will eventually reject these norms because they will grow tired of pretending to be someone they are not.
But I don't have a desire to fit into the current broken definition of masculinity. Because I don't just want to be a good man. I want to be a good human. And I believe the only way that can happen is if men learn to not only embrace the qualities that we were told are feminine in ourselves, but to be willing to stand up, to champion and learn from the women who embody them.
And other moon-ruled men will cling to the ideal of masculinity due to societal support, as the influence of others around them reaffirms a false ideology.
I'm on tour, we at the parties, we balling, we having a good time, but sometimes we get to these after parties and it'll be a section full of niggas. Section full of niggas. Just looking at each other, niggas passing the same hookah around to 10 niggas. Ain't no bitches in the section, they looking crazy at the bitches. What are we doing this for, brother?
Receiving social validation as a result of being part of the right or superior group brings them great contentment. In their minds, they are the chosen ones, the in crowd, cut from a different cloth, the 1%, and in certain cases, this may ring true. Secondly, moon-ruled men may succumb to societal masculinity because they feel it connects to their morality system, and the ideas give them comfort because they know what's right.
There are several sacred things in this world that you don't ever mess with. One of them happens to be another man's fries.
This can create a great fear of failing to reach the masculine archetype.
You can't name my member, Princess Sophia. It doesn't...
Yes, I can.
Listen to me. If you're gonna name my member, all right, you gotta name it something hyper masculine, okay? Something like a Spike, a Butch, a Kroll, the Warrior King.
Looking soft.
You know that boy needs something, Wanda. He's soft.
He is not soft.
He is.
Or being emasculated.
Who's almost like a little man?
So moon-ruled men will fall on two sides of the same coin. One who strictly enforces gender norms.
Do you agree with people who hold that broadly gender is a social construct?
No.
Can
I
you
don't
just
hold with
explain
those people at all.
why? Yes.
Well, because first of all, that's an axiomatic pronouncement rather than a consequence of the analysis of the empirical data.
And two, one who defies them.
Trans women are not biological women. Biological women are biological women.
But where are you going with this? If people express themselves on a gender spectrum, and that is an actual thing in an actual society, if we have not fully explained that scientifically, that's an interesting frontier to study.
You get this sort of rebellion aspect, or this sort of denial, this sort of childish defensive position of not all men are bad and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, we just have to shut up and listen. We need to fix the behavior of men.
Though both reasons for conforming to social laws can apply to both moon-ruled men and women.
She could be the sweetest girl I ever met in my life, but if she don't look the part, I don't want her to come. Like, that's just not the vibe I'm on. Now, she can come to the cookout, she can come to the listening party, but the club, I feel like bitches gotta look a certain way.
You're wearing sweatpants. It's Monday. So? You can't sit with us!
The morality reason is especially important to men. In a survey done by Pew Research Center, 1/3 of men believe the most important traits society valued in men was honesty and morality. This tribal mentality is why you'll find moon-ruled men likely to join or create cults, as well as looking for validation in others. To do this, moon-ruled men will have two approaches. One, they may cultivate likability, meaning making others feel happy, valued, included, in order to gain popularity and inclusion.
Amos basically runs my life. One of the interesting things about being president is you learn to give your life over to 20-year-olds.
Second, other moon-ruled men may cultivate status, which is influence, dominance, and power over others.
Want to know why I've carried on all these years? It's so I can do this. And then do this. Feel it?
I feel it.
However, cultivating status over likability often leads to a less satisfactory path. It is obvious why moon-ruled men work hard to achieve popularity and want to be part of the creme de la creme. This will allot them more favorable circumstances.
And my pops was in the streets, and I grew up so much in that, you know what I'm saying? I feel like that's why I talk about it so easy now, because I seen the good and the bad in Harlem. And I mean, I seen what them drugs do. I seen what that jail do. I seen what them guns do. I seen what beef do. I seen all the negativity of just what being in a poverty-stricken type area would it bring.
I had a prostitution ring on my street corner. There were drug addicts in my alleyway. There was, I got sort of robbed at 5 years old or something like that.
5 years old?
Yeah. It was a pretty hardcore neighborhood.
Although this is sometimes done to prove others from their past wrong, because they see themselves as the underdog or an outsider.
I feel as if I'm kind of like a transplant to the black community, like adopted almost. I just didn't fully understand the customer things. I might get picked on by a kid from the projects because I didn't know how to talk shit yet.
What else?
My clothes.
Okay.
My hair.
How was your hair? Was it another color?
No, it was big and messy. Like I had an afro pretty much, my whole life up until I think I cut my hair off for the first time at age 11.
Hey guys, you guys know Al, right? Why is Tito Jackson here?
This is most likely because many of them do start lower on the social or economic hierarchy.
They ostracized me in high school. They had nothing to do with me. I was not popular. We were poor, but the rest of the school was wealthy, middle-class white Jewish kids who were very stuck up. But I was not part of the clique.
Experiencing being unpopular and rejected frequently.
In high school, I think I got turned down by like every girl I asked out.
Essentially, moon-ruled men are nerds with athletic abilities.
They have kicked my ass.
Who will mask their nerdiness in order to obtain popularity, social acceptance, or financial gains.
Oh my. You are a closet nerd.
Literally.
Wow, the secrecy. Well, look, when I first met Molly, it was clear she was only into guys. So, that's who I pretended to be. She ended up buying it.
Because of these desires, you'll see moon-ruled men and women being strict on who they surround themselves by, friendship-wise and romantically. As a result, you will see moon-ruled men and women being known for having a type.
I'll tell you now, do yourself a favor. You truly want to know what to do or how to do it, or maybe the best way or the most equitable way? Talk to black women.
A black woman gave me her heart and sacrificed her life for me. If it wasn't for black women, I wouldn't be here. Yeah, so thank you.
Are you in a relationship?
Yeah, Leia, let me show you my girlfriend. This is Katie. Yeah, we've been together a few years now.
Katie.
Love her. Yeah.
Okay.
All these kids, when you gonna have some kids with a black woman?
When it comes to dating, moon-ruled men place high value on the appearance. Moon-ruled women are similar, however, they are less likely to claim a type. They are specific and sexually selective. Often, they will be criticized for racism, colorism, sexism, ageism, fatphobia, and etc. because of it. The most common pattern is a tendency to date younger, although there are exceptions. I took the charts of over 70 moon-ruled men relationships in order to gain an understanding of their dating habits. Moon-ruled men date approximately a mean of 8.7 years younger, and in some cases, because of the inappropriate age gap, they have been accused of abuse. The same goes for moon-ruled women. However, these are extreme cases. From looking at the 70-plus moon-ruled men relationships, I was also able to gain other insights. If we are to go by planetary dominance, and this includes the sun, the moon, and the nodes, the results weren't super significant. I saw a slight preference for Ketu-ruled partners, in particular Ashwini and Magha placements. The main planetary position being Sun in Ashwini or Moon in Magha, and the least preferred type being Venusian men or women. If we look closer at the overall nakshatra placements that receive the most points when factoring Sun, Moon, and Ascendant, Uttara Falguni and Hasta took the lead. If we break it down further, for Sun placement, Hasta, Uttara Bhadrapada, and as previously mentioned, Ashwini appeared most frequently as preferred partners for moon-ruled men. And for moon sign, Ashlesha, followed by Uttara Falguni, Hasta, and as previously mentioned, Magha. In general, their longest relationships, meaning 20 years or more, are with Sun in Ashwini, Sun in Uttara Bhadrapada, Moon in Magha, and Moon in Ashlesha. And when combining Sun, Moon, and Ascendant, Uttara Falguni in general is another long-term match. There are indicators of womanizing, but I have not conducted a full study to see which nakshatra ranks the highest in that department. There is, on the other hand, a good amount of evidence to show a pattern of disloyalty amongst moon-ruled men.
Who's your wife that's in your phone?
Some girl that I dated in high school.
Why were you looking into my wife's eyes?
She came over to the house and as a joke, we looked into each other's eyes as a joke. We're like, oh yeah, good to see you.
However, do not assume all moon-ruled men are cheaters, but this behavior is significant enough to be noted. Many planetary placements cheat, but moon-ruled men get a reputation for it. They often get caught up in major cheating scandals.
I want you to listen to me. I'm going to say this again. I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky. I never told anybody to lie, not a single time.
Because of their cheating, they get a reputation for a lack of empathy or impaired empathy.
Have you ever cheated on anybody?
No, I'm faithful.
Oh, well, your little teammates don't think you are.
People may see them as those who refuse to take accountability for their behavior.
In 2 weeks, you sent for 8 girls. I have a screenshot for 8 girls. Do you wanna see? No? Oh, okay.
Frequently blaming their bad behavior on their childhood or upbringing. Though childhood trauma is not an excuse, it may give some answers. It is possible that the lies are a result of a survival tactic developed in their youth.
You have to survive. So you go into survival mode. And when you go into survival mode, what happened? You shut down.
Right.
You shut down all emotions.
Right.
So even with women, you got shut down emotionally, so you can't connect. And then now all things happen from there. Infidelity.
You can't connect because you
exactly.
can't connect because of the way you feel about yourself, you mean?
Yes.
Or secondly, in their early years, they did not develop secure attachments, likely due to neglect. When children are neglected, it causes them not to feel deep emotional connections to others, especially in comparison to those raised in more stable environments. They cannot fully emotionally connect to the pain they cause others because that human bond was never formed.
You know what, Cole? We're done.
You treat me like a second-class citizen. You.
How does it feel seeing that again?
I wish I could say I felt something, but I don't.
Unfortunately, this behavior mitigates their chances at successful partnerships as they get older. Moon-ruled men who are struggling with infidelity will need to address any psychological problems if they want healthy relationships. This includes learning to express anger towards your partner instead of passive aggression or avoidance, and thinking of others' thoughts and feelings as you would your own.
I feel more of a man, like just conquering women. Old women, young women, black women, white women, they don't matter. Bro, they don't give a I want to do some older women. What's the man PetSmart?
Well, damn. The personality of these men are generally curious, hardworking, and intelligent. They do their best to be the best at what they do.
뭔가 내가 너무 이 직업의 본질보다 성공에 대한 게 너무 크지 않았나 이런 생각이 들면서 조금씩 이 배우 연기자라는 직업에 좀 더 깊게 들어가게 됐던 것 같아요. 그러니까 연기에 더 집중하고 배우로서 더 열심히 하다 보면 언젠가 잘 되는 작품도 생기고 좋은 일도 많이 생기니까 뭐 이렇게 마음이 바뀐 것 같아요.
And understand being genuine is important.
It took me a long time to understand that the audition process is about walking into a room full of strangers, unzipping and vomiting out your most private self. And then when the audition is done, you zip up and you go. That is the job. That is the working definition of a professional.
Even those who were known for benefiting from nepotism did not accept handouts.
The idea very early on was implanted that no good could come from, you know, being associated with the Vanderbilts. The history of the Vanderbilts was very fraught for my mom. To me, they were like ghosts from a past I really didn't want to know about. And I chose to have my story be my dad's story, which was growing up poor on a farm in Mississippi. And I thought as a young kid, I looked at my mom's side of the family, my dad's side, and I thought, you know what? I'm going with the Mississippi side because I want that to be my American story more than the history of the Vanderbilts.
They prefer to build their own empires and are generally good at it due to their social skills.
If you say there has been a gap, there's been a gap because obviously I don't ask my father to get me projects.
Right.
I don't ask him to talk to people and give me a role. So whether that's correct or wrong, everyone has their own perspective.
Moon-ruled men are typically mama's boys, which is no surprise because the moon is symbolic of motherhood. Generally, they have strong-willed and disciplinary mothers who keep them humble.
I remember coming home one time and saying, you know, feeling full of myself and talking about how, wow, did you imagine all this? I mean, I'm a star, you know,
really?
and all that. And she's like, Negro, please.
Negro, please.
What has kept you grounded, would you say?
My mom.
Your mom.
Definitely.
And moon-ruled men love going back home.
It's very rough. I go to the same project sometime, to this very same home that the 8 of us were raised in. Same old 2-bedroom little house, and I look around there and I go inside, and it's an old black family that's there, and they have a son going to school.
This city really what made me to what I am, you know, who I am, and I mean, I love it. I always will love it. That's why I go back home a lot. You just, you know, you can go somewhere you can feel safe. There's nowhere like home.
Moon-ruled men have a reputation for their fertility and strong desire for children. On the flip side, they are also the most likely to be child-free, having no desire for children. Their feelings about having or rearing children are rarely neutral. In my 4 or more children study, now up to 110 charts, Sun in Hasta, Ascendant in Hasta, and Moon in Rohini and Moon in Shravana all scored highly for having a large amount of children. While in the childless/child-free study, Sun and Rohini scored highly. One thing is for certain, if they do have children, they are generally very family-oriented and care for their children deeply. Most will try to make time for them. In terms of their own parenting style, they are usually authoritarian and try to prepare their children for the toughness of the cruel world.
What kind of father was my dad? He sent a lot of mixed messages. So he would say, you can come talk to me about anything. But the second I tried, If it wasn't what he wanted to hear, then he was angry and I was in trouble. He was also very strict.
And are generally not as strict as Saturnian parents.
Who was the stricter parent growing up?
Oh, my mom.
In terms of mental health, moon-ruled men and women are known for their challenges with depression and other mental health issues.
Because it's one thing to be depressed or have to deal with anxiety. It's another to also have to work to cover that constantly. And I spent a great deal of my life pouring a lot of time and energy into covering, into pretending that everything was fine. And now I don't have to do that.
And often get a reputation for having to deal with chronic mental health issues.
On Tuesday, February 23rd, Stanfield posted and deleted a video of himself pointing a gun at a photo of Charlemagne. Upon seeing this, the Power 105 host addressed the situation again. I wish y'all would have kept the most important part of this video in, and that's when I say pray for that brother and please get that brother some help.
As part of their mental health struggle, they can have trouble regulating their emotions. This leads moon-ruled men and women more likely to partake in substance abuse. Maintaining sobriety can be difficult.
Can I come home?
You're not allowed to come here in that state of mind.
I love you. And by the way, I know I've made you sick.
Despite the struggles with mental health issues, moon-ruled people will still manage to lift the spirits of others around them, oftentimes with humor. Moon-ruled men are known for their quirky sense of humor. They are also known for their satirical takes, dad jokes.
It is hard to believe that this is my 7th year of pardoning a turkey. Time flies, even if turkeys don't.
Or family man-related comedy.
Oh, Vanessa! Yes! I know who I'm going to marry.
It's not me, is it?
And they love being pranksters.
So, are you getting ready to pretend that you're a very famous artist?
Absolutely.
Today will be the day that we introduce Chris to this artist, and hopefully everything goes well and she falls for it.
Excuse me, I lost my wife. Did you see a woman? She's about your height, brunette. Her cell phone's dead. I can't get in touch with her. You couldn't miss her. She was wearing a bear rug.
They freely speak their mind through their humor.
We do need a woman president, though. Oh my fucking! I know that for a fact. Because of the way that I love movies. I love movies. And any movie that you love, chances are it was directed by a man, edited by a woman, which means a woman directed it.
Depending on these men's respective countries, they will find themselves in the middle of controversy because of their brand of comedy. Moon-ruled men are highly critical of politics and corruption, such as Veer Das. Right-wing Indian protesters claimed his brand of comedy was anti-national, anti-Hindu, and anti-woman. Veer Das fought back by recording a response from his audience.
Did we target any specific religion here tonight? No! Did we target any specific government or leader here tonight? No! Did this show defame India or make you feel ashamed to be an Indian? No! Did this show make you proud to be an Indian?
In another case, Kunal Kamra, who has many controversies due to his takes on events happening in India and his political opinions. The consequences of his words led to his landlord asking him to move out, being banned from airlines like Go Air and Air India, and clubs canceling his gigs. Mumwar Fry was even jailed for his comedy, and all three have been accused of being anti-Hindu, which makes sense as moon-ruled people can be critical of religion, and if religious themselves may question their own faith.
If you go into different cultures, they have different concepts of creation. They have their own creation story.
Right.
And of what an afterlife is. Where you go, what you do, who you're going to be with. You know, people say, "Well, I'm going to go to the happy place, and I'm sure I'll see my loved ones."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All placements have good and bad characteristics. Moon-ruled men are known for their legal troubles.
Hip-hop superstar A$AP Rocky is facing charges in connection with a shooting in Hollywood.
Our special guest, Dennis Hoff, the owner of the so-called Love Ranch, Moonlight Bunny Ranch, It's a house of prostitution. That's what it is. Hoff, thank you for being with us. You own the brothel where Odom is found unconscious.
Did a lot of bad things.
Like what?
Well, you said you were pimping for a while.
Is that
Defeat
bad?
the habit.
Is that bad?
21-year-old Vit Tran. He was formally charged with dissemination of intelligence data. That's a felony that carries a prison sentence of up to 5 years.
39-year-old rapper, whose real name is William Roberts, and his bodyguard, Nadrian James, were arrested early Wednesday morning at Ross's home in Fayette County, Georgia. The AP reports that both men were charged with aggravated battery and kidnapping.
Because during my research, I noticed moon-ruled men have anxiety, strict gender ideologies, and substance abuse problems, I decided to conduct a study on domestic violence, in particular physical violence. I conducted a study of over 80 charts, 52 with recorded ascendants, to see which placement was most likely to be a perpetrator of domestic abuse. I would love to have more charts with documented birth times because of the seriousness of this subject. However, there were not many available. When it comes to which planetary rulerships were most likely to commit physical domestic abuse, it was sun-ruled nakshatras followed by the moon, the least likely being Venus, with Shravana nakshatra placement being the most likely of the moon-ruled to commit abuse. But besides their trouble with the law, other areas of life you'll find these men involved in is politics, writers, occultists, musicians, and randomly bounty hunters. I gathered the charts of as many bounty hunters as possible, which is about 18. And out of this small grouping, moon-ruled men placements were the most prominent. You can also find many moon-ruled men involved in careers such as gambling, stocks, betting, and any other areas of life that involve high risk and high reward. And on a side note, in particular, black moon-ruled men feel it is important to be perceived by as many people as possible. As a result, some will often say they aren't black enough.
Whites say you're black. The blacks say you're not black enough. There's that ping pong ball.
Why do white people love Wayne Brady so much?
White people love Wayne Brady because he makes Brian Gumbel look like Malcolm X.
I've been like, okay, this is a weird one. Like 10 years ago, I did a joke about you that was like really bad. And it was like, if somebody told Brian Gumbel he was black, he'd have a heart attack. And it came from like my ignorance of like this is where I grew up and everything, and like any black guy that spoke well was like considered white. And I'm glad that people are like growing the fuck up. And,
coming from where I come from, women, black women, they always would tell me like, you're not hood enough, you're not this, I want someone that's more rough and things like that. And or friends, or like I'm the type of guy that wears sneakers all the time. Oh, why don't you have Timberlands or Jordans? And I just got tired of trying to change myself to fit their agenda. And not saying that all black women are like that. No, they're not, because I ran into someone that dated someone that aren't. But a lot of the ones that I come across is like, I get tired of saying, oh, you're not my type. Well, what you want me to do? Change myself to be your type?
Moon-ruled men of all races, however, will feel like outsiders or visitors in a strange land at some point.
Madams, what's wrong with you, stupido?
As I briefly mentioned in my Shravana transit video, moon-ruled men are one of the more popular nakshatras in terms of sexual desirability. Even in my Black Beauty study for women, Moon and Hasta tied for third with Revati for beauty. And Hasta overall is one of the most popular placements for attractive men according to a study Claire Nocti did on attractiveness. As you previously saw, when it comes to moon-ruled men and choosing partners, Hasta natives are the most popular of the moon-ruled nakshatras. Moon-ruled men are seen as approachable, and it is generally their balance of feminine and masculine features and overall symmetrical appearance that makes them attractive. And because they are generally warm and people-oriented, they are approached more frequently by both sexes.
What have you gotten out of Pretty
Prettiest one on the podcast.
Yeah.
Being flown out to LA. There's
Free
all this
facials.
shit.
He's the only guy I've known that's been treated like sugar mama treatment.
No,
like
for real.
full sugar mama treatment.
That's why I said is I could easily have a sugar mama. I just
All right,
decided
man.
not to.
Let's not rub it in.
He gets more DMs, more free shit than me.
People note a softness or an innocence to their features. generally the eyes for men, and for women, their faces are often neotenous. Even if they start out as unpopular or awkward at some point, they may get a boost in their desirability due to status, finances, or a glow up. Sometimes it's a case of just being a part of the right crowd. In terms of style, they are particular about clothing and presentation.
Now your fashion. It is out there, it's outrageous.
You know, you just want to start to see something different. And I remember I just started, I bought this turban, this white turban for some reason. And I put it on my head and I loved the way it looked. I started buying these silk scarves and I just loved the way it looked.
I have these questions in my mind, but I keep getting distracted by these pants. I tell you. If you want a pair of pants like this, where do you go?
Man, I got these pants in St. Louis last week for 40 cents, something.
Except for those moon-ruled men who can't stand wearing clothing.
And I hate wearing clothes. That's like a big thing. I just can't stand it.
But for those who prefer their clothes to be on, they are more experimental and eccentric with fashion, and they can be known for their unique clothing items and style choices. Moon-ruled men are more colorful than sun-ruled men who prefer a more classic look, or like Jupiterian men who for street style prefer hoodies. But when wanting to make an impression, prefer fitted or tailored clothing. In particular, black or white t-shirt / button down, or an elaborate floral dress shirt with ripped jeans. I've seen moon-ruled men adorn Letterman jackets, baseball caps, sports, pop culture references / influences in their clothing, patchwork striped denim, high-waisted pants, fur, plaid, typically effeminate colors, shirts with encouraging quotes like "leave the drama at the door" and "hustle," and popular brands. Generally a mix of streetwear and high-end pieces. They are even likely to be sneakerheads. Some moon-ruled men will base their self-worth on material objects, which is why having luxury or brand name pieces are essential to their wardrobe. Tattoos are also a normal part of these lunar men's appearance. I noticed sleeve tattoos were very popular. Another thing of importance when it comes to the physical, their voices are very notable. In particular, black moon-ruled men. Generally, people will make commentary on their voices that they sound calm.
Well, I could say that I resent those kinds of comments, but I'm just not into criticizing other black people. I think that's the most sinful thing a black person can do.
My inner voice always gives it to me straight. Tells me who my real friends are. When to say yes, when to say no.
They sound like they just woke up.
This whole video was inspired by Into the Void. Dexter Navy put me onto the movie years back. It was crazy. I think it's either you like it or you don't.
Their voices are deep.
Do you think that your character in any way prepared America to elect a president who's African American?
At first I thought, if it might have made people aware of the possibility. But actually, one woman told me that I did, and that's the first time I believed it.
Their voices sound authoritative.
Starting a movement that spread across the country. When the cynics said we couldn't, you said, yes, we can.
In particular, with a downward inflection.
Forensics is decrypting the contents as we speak. Your internet activity over the last 10 years is being scrutinized and cataloged in minute, vivid detail.
Either way, their voices are memorable. Other random details you may want to know about moon-ruled men is moon-ruled men can struggle from learning disabilities. I have looked at over 70 charts now of people with learning disabilities. Rohini nakshatra has scored the 3rd highest combining sun, moon, and ascendant, and tied for first in terms of sun and moon placements. Lastly, I did mention this in my Shravana video that moon-ruled men can be very particular about their diets and follow a strict regimen. On the other hand, I have seen moon-ruled men eat more junk food / fast food or eat out more than any other placement that I have studied thus far, because the moon connects to nourishment and food. So when you have a major transit to your moon, you can expect some changes in your eating or dietary habits. Moon-ruled men are ambitious, curious, and insightful, and it has been a pleasure doing a video on them. Thank you for watching, astronauts, and I will see you next time. Au revoir.